Hello and welcome to Golden Life Living with Charise. I am your host, Charise Colbert. Well, since you guys are relatively new to Golden Life Living TV, I want to give you an introduction of what Golden Life Living is. So to begin, we're going to start out with my story. So I was born in 1973, but I believe my story or me coming into my own really began to take place in 2012 when I made the decision to leave an abusive relationship, marriage. And so outside of that, there was a growing period, I would say. And in that growing period, there are some things that definitely came out of that helped define who I am today, or to even bring clarity to who I am, what I represent, and how I want to move upon this earth. So there was definitely a phase coming out of there where I was bitter. And my bitterness wasn't to the point of trying to make other people bitter as well or being unpleasant to other people. It was more internal. And I didn't really realize how much bitterness I was carrying around until there was a situation with a family member that led to an physical altercation. And so I really had to step back and just kind of check myself in regards to what I had been through and the toll it was taking on to me. And I definitely didn't want to do to anyone in any capacity what had happened to me over the past year. So from there, I had to ask myself a big question. And that question was, did I want to be bitter or better? And I could tell you, before entering this marriage or being in that situation, I was a better person. I was a good person. So it wasn't about me needing anyone to complete me or me feeling not whole or incomplete in that regards. So I definitely wanted to get back to Charise before this situation occurred. And I definitely didn't want to give the perpetrator power in my life. And I feel if I would have led a life of bitterness, that's giving them power in my life and ultimately still reign and control in my life. And I didn't want that. So I really had to take an inward look in, and I had to ask myself a lot of questions. And on the surface, these questions are very simple. Who am I? What do I want? What's my purpose in life? On the grand scheme of things, those seem like pretty simplistic questions. But if you can't be superficial with these questions, you really have to dig deep. And if you're digging deep, you should have more questions that's going to rise up from this. So a part of this was me just looking at all areas of my life. And we talk about abuse, and we typically think of it as a relationship between man and woman, or whoever you're in a relationship with. Abuse can happen in a multitude of ways. In what ways do your friends or family abuse you? It doesn't necessarily have to be physical. Are you around people who are never supportive of your ideas, or just always negative? Do you have people that are trying to dictate to you what they think you should do for your life? That, in a sense, not compared to what I went through, is also a form of abuse. You think about the corporate structure and your managers or supervisors dictating to you what they see happening for you in your career at work. Not tapping into your gifts and talents, not having a clue what they are. So that's where we really have to get clear on who we are, what we represent, and how we're going to interface and interact within this outside our homes and this universe. Because certainly we have to deal with people, whether it's co-workers, family, or friends. We have to interact with people, and we have to be clear on who we are, what works for us, and what does not. We have to get that clarity. And so I began to ask myself these questions. And even for me at work, I had people telling me what they see for me. And I am in no way married to what they see for me, because it's not my calling, it's not my gift, it's not my talent, it's not putting what I have to offer this world to use. This is someone guessing at best what they think is best for me or how I fit somewhere. And I don't see that vision for myself. So a thing was really just getting clear on the vision for my life and taking the reins of my life and controlling that, and not allowing others to control that. So, out of this situation, Golden Life Living was kind of born. And I say kind of because prior to the marriage, I had a blog which was called Life is Golden. So when I set upon creating a brand, a business entity for Life is Golden, well, the website browser wasn't available, so it kind of transitioned to Golden Life Living. And that's where we are today. So one of the things that I do is life coaching. And my life coaching is really about the person. We are not looking at other players, other people, circumstances. We are looking at the self. I think, again, getting back to that clarity, personal development is very important, but you have to control what your personal development is. And I think in this personal development, we have to assess our self-esteem, our self-confidence, our self-acceptance of ourselves, self-love. And these are very instrumental in you living a golden life, because you are focused on self. Now, being focused on the self doesn't make you selfish, because you can still be a selfless individual, but you are making sure before you go out there, and I don't really want to say judge, but even looking at someone else's life, you having an understanding that there is always something that we could work on inwardly. Another aspect of Golden Life Living, I believe, is important with our mind, body, and soul connection. So whatever I present to you guys is going to be in that regard. Like, I'm hoping that once a quarter we can present some type of physical or health element, because I think a Golden Life Living, you need to be of sound health and making sure that you are working and living towards that so that you can be your best and most optimal you. And that kind of goes with the body piece. You know, our mind, I think that is very key. With social media, even with our news media and our electronic devices, we are always on the go, and we're fed so much information, but we need time to disconnect. You know, I try to, or I have in the past, and I need to reinitiate this at least once a week to just kind of disconnect from my cell phone, from social media. Little TV here is okay, but I'm not really taking in too much news information because it tends to be negative. We have to be mindful of what we are allowing to infiltrate our minds. And once we infiltrate it, what are we doing to purge that? So I think that's very instrumental. Our souls, that's another aspect. And whether you nurture that through meditation, through your spiritual connection, that is fine. But we got to make sure that is our core. So you'll notice with Golden Life Living that my logo is a tree. And there's a purpose for a tree. I think we are much like a tree. A tree, you think about, it starts as a seedling, and then it is nurtured through water and sunshine. So that's the care of itself. And from that, it begins to grow and blossom. But everything to help it grow and blossom begins at its roots. So if the roots are not being nourished, it becomes depleted, and that tree henceforth will die. And I think we are the same way. We have to nourish our roots, our soul per se. And only when we begin to do that can we branch off into these other entities, and can we begin to grow and fully flourish. And so that's the reason for the tree being part of the Golden Life Living logo. Welcome back to Golden Life Living. I'm Charise, and today I am kind of giving you an introduction of Golden Life Living. So what can you come to expect from Golden Life Living? Well, first I want to say that Golden Life Living functions with a mission to empower, enlighten, and engage through encouraging and uplifting our audience while dealing with the realities of our world and our lives. So what exactly does that mean? So I tend to have an optimistic view. but I fall short of being a Pollyanna. A Pollyanna is, everything is sunshiny and flowers are blooming. I am optimistic, understanding that stuff happens. I think that's just life in general. I've been through it, you've been through it, I'll probably go through it again, you'll go through it again. And I think when life throws us a curveball, I think it's important to know that those curveballs are not meant to inhibit us or stagnate us. They are essentially for our growth and development. And I think that's very important for us getting unstuck and out of ruts. I think some people become so stuck because they can't see beyond the situation. So I think Golden Life Living is about seeing beyond the situation. And so here on the TV show, as well as the radio show, I try to have people come on who have been through some things. They have been through some things, and traumatic nonetheless. And trauma, I think there's a wide range when we're looking at the trajectory of trauma. What's traumatic to me may not be traumatic to you, and vice versa. But I think the great thing about these people, even though they face adversity, that they found a way out of it. And also out of it, they found their calling. Me, coming out of an abusive marriage, found my calling to be able to life coach, to get to the point where I'm putting together workshops so I could go out there and speak to the masses and connect with people. And again, my story isn't one that I share willingly now, but there was a period where I didn't want that to be my story. I didn't want to talk about it. I was okay with tucking it under the rug. But you definitely get to the point that maybe your voice needs to be heard, because I know that there are other people out there that are going through the exact same thing that I went through. And I need them to know that on the other side of it, when you decide to leave, you can and you will be okay. And that's my story. And there are other people whose story may be shaped differently and may not resonate with mine. But they have a story that was traumatic, and they are here to show you that, hey, you can come out of this. You will be okay. And life on the other side is just fine. So, Golden Life Living, when I came up with the name, Golden Life Living is all about making your life golden now. Oftentimes when we hear the term golden, it is often in reference to those people who are retiring. I don't want to wait till retirement to enjoy my life fully. And I don't know what's going to happen when I get to retirement, if I even retire. So Golden Life Living is about asking, what are you doing today and every day moving forward to make your life golden now? And to make your life golden doesn't mean you have to live a lavish life, that you need to be spending a lot of money. There are little ways every day that we can do to make our life golden now. Sometimes if that's enjoying a bubble bath with a glass of wine, kudos to you, that is golden. Sometimes if it's about making that connection with family and friends beyond texting and communicating on social media, each person has to respectively define for them what a golden life living is. But it should be something that you are enjoying and that brings a smile to your face every day, and to ensuring that you are whole and complete. And at the end of the day, I believe that we individually can only make sure that we are whole and complete. And that's going back to that personal development and looking at the self. And again, whether that's self-acceptance, self-esteem, self-confidence, self-love, self-worth, those are things that we need to look at. And for me, I believe those things are always going to be a work in progress, especially if you're looking at 5 different selves, because by the time you master self-worth, you may need to go back and see that you need to revisit self-acceptance. So I think it's just a catalyst that's just going to be ongoing, and it's something that we will never perfect, because one area that you focus on, you may allow another area to diminish. So once you master one area, you need to go back and revisit. And that's the great thing about taking the inward look. When you're taking the inward look, you don't have time to judge other people. You don't have the time to talk about what other people are doing because you are focused on you. And again, it's not about being selfish. It's not that you don't have an awareness of what's happening in the world or with others, but you are so in tune to making sure that you are whole and complete that takes top precedence. Welcome back to Golden Life Living with Charise. I am your host, Charise Colbert, and today is an introduction of sorts about what Golden Life Living is and what you can expect. So, my concept and idea with the TV and radio show is it is to be a platform for others, and whether we're highlighting a business or an initiative or someone's story, and you will find that out of their stories, people have been propelled to do something greater in this earth, and they probably have launched a business or product. I want to speak with people that are living the golden life living. And again, we are dealing with the reality of the world. So it's not going to be all sunshine, but it is something that is intended to encourage you. And especially if there's a story that speaks with you, and if it's something you're going through right now, to help get you out of that pit, to help pull you up, and to give you resources and people that you can connect with. So one of the things that I do on my Facebook page, which is over at Golden Life Living, is we work to weekly. There you can find a weekly affirmation, a quote, and a food for thought question. And what these are intended to do is to inspire you just a little bit higher. So your affirmation, so if you can't think of an affirmation of your own, you could go there to get a weekly affirmation, and usually the quote and food for thought falls in line whatever the affirmation is. And so the quote is just something just to give you something to settle upon, to resonate with you. And then the food for thought question is something that you should look at and also answer. You don't necessarily have to share the questions, your responses with me, but feel free to do so. But it's just something for you to look at and look in inwardly once again. And another thing that I do is Thankful Thursday. And Thankful Thursday is just about taking a break each week to make sure that even if you had a week that was absolutely horrible, that you are taking the time just to look back over that previous week and find 3 things to which you can be appreciative and grateful for. And trust me, you can find it. Some days they're going to stick out to you. Other weeks you may have to go dig for it. And it may be something as simple as, hey, the sun shined today during the winter months in Michigan, and that's quite okay. So I am always looking for guests, so feel free to reach out to me if you're in the Michigan region and interested in being a guest on Golden Life Living. We could definitely chat to see if there is a fit. And I'll tell you what, there hasn't been anyone I turned away yet, because I feel like every story really deserves to be told. And again, once I say, whatever traumatic experience or event someone has been through, they have found a way to make their life golden again. So another thing I definitely want you to do is kind of with my motto, make your life golden now. I want that to sit with you. I want that to resonate with you. I want that to be at the forefront of your mind. What am I doing to make my life golden now? And again, that answer and response is going to look different for each one of us. Is making your life golden now, is that a matter of taking care of you? Or is making your life golden now, is it a matter of you going out and making sure that you're helping someone who may be in need in whatever shape, form, or fashion that may take place in? Ultimately, we each have to decide what that golden life living is. But I want you to decide that, and you have to remove the cloak of your familial expectations, societal dictates, and that's where you have to get clear on who you are, what you want, and what you want to bring into this universe to make it better, so that when you leave this place, job well done. Thank you.